He's got the whole world in his hands. After weeks of speculation, the White Rabbit has finally been revealed, and it is indeed Bray Wyatt making his return to WWE last night at Extreme Rules. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE, and the big one, of course, you can see it on the screen right there. You probably saw it on the thumbnail. You'd have seen it all over social media. Bray Wyatt is indeed back in WWE. He made his much anticipated and speculated return at the end of last night's Extreme Rules premium live event. We're going to get into this really dramatic return entrance that he did after weeks of the White Rabbit songs playing during commercial breaks, after weeks of QR codes, after weeks of teasers and cryptic messages and URL codes and HTML codes. Bray Wyatt is indeed back. Yes, it was an excellent return. The crowd was going crazy in the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. Massive pop, one of the biggest pops we've heard in a really long time on WWE television. And after weeks of anticipation, Wyatt is indeed back. So let's get into this. After weeks of Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit and QR codes about the Three Little Pigs fairy tale and more, the White Rabbit has indeed finally been revealed last night at Extreme Rules as none other than Bray Wyatt. All of this speculation surrounding Wyatt being the White Rabbit was indeed correct. So let's get into this. I've got all of the screen grabs from this excellent return. Let's get into Wyatt's return. You can see it on there. So his return came just after the Fight Pit main event. Now, WWE, and this was kind of a staple of Triple H. Triple H used to do this all the time in NXT. When he had a big surprise planned, he would have the main event happen, and you'd get the little graphic appear at the end of the show in the bottom left-hand corner saying that, all rights reserved and copyright WWE. So you're just thinking, oh, here we go. Well, it's going to be the end of the show here, but it wasn't, because the lights went out signifying that the White Rabbit was about to be revealed. And as you can see right there on the screen, the Fireflies were out in full force. Big pop for just the lights going on. Because realistically, this is what people were watching for last night. People were watching for the return of Bray Wyatt, or they were watching for at the very least to find out who indeed the White Rabbit was. But obviously, a lot of the speculation was that it was indeed going to be Bray Wyatt. So people tuned in to see Bray Wyatt return to WWE. So as I mentioned, the Fireflies were out in full force. And then what we saw, you can see on the screen right there, Huskus the Pig. But what we saw is this wide shot. I'll go back to it. It was this wide shot here. And whilst he's got the whole world in his hands, kept playing over and over and over again. And it was a really creepy version. It was, the song was slow and dark and deep, and I don't know if the person singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hand" was actually Bray Wyatt himself, but it was really sort of, again, dark, dingy kind of version of the song. And basically what they did is they panned to this wide shot whilst the song was playing, and then they kept zooming into various points in the crowd, and at various points in the crowd you saw different echoes of Bray Wyatt's past, shall we say. So, for instance, you saw Huskus the Pig there, someone dressed up as Huskus the Pig, or a version of Huskus the Pig, and it must be said the costumes and the masks were absolutely sensational. So Huskus the Pig, of course, a Firefly Fun House character in Bray Wyatt's past. We then saw Mercy the Buzzard also there in the crowd, also wearing, it must be said, the gear, or certainly the attire that was closely associated with the first version of Bray Wyatt in NXT and his early WWE main roster run in sort of 2013, 2014. It might have even been that shirt specifically he wore in those really early Bray Wyatt vignettes. I recall that shirt vividly. So Mercy the Buzzard also there in the crowd, but also wearing a Bray Wyatt attire or costume that we had seen in the past. We then saw, of course, Ramblin' Rabbit, and that outfit of Ramblin' Rabbit is incredibly disturbing, isn't it? Certainly incredibly disturbing. But you saw Ramblin' Rabbit there, also in the stands, also within the WWE universe. We then saw Abby the Witch as well, and it was Abby the Witch, but also you could certainly say that looks a lot like Bray Wyatt when he was going to be playing the Sister Abigail character in that now infamous and cancelled match that he was going to have against Finn Balor at TLC in 2017. Of course, if you recall at the time, Sister Abigail was revealed to be none other than Bray Wyatt, another version, another alter ego of Bray Wyatt in 2017. It was set up to have a match between Wyatt and Finn Balor at the TLC event. Wyatt had to pull out due to illness, due to a contagious illness, which actually led to Roman Reigns also being pulled from the TLC event as well. So we never actually saw Bray Wyatt wrestle as Sister Abigail, but that's kind of a hybrid of Sister Abigail and Abby the Witch from the Firefly Fun House as well. You then had I believe, we didn't get an amazing look at this, but I believe this is the charred face. This is the charred mask of The Fiend when he was set on fire. Of course, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, was set ablaze. He was burnt alive in the Firefly Inferno match at Tables, Ladders and Chairs in December of 2020 by Randy Orton. About 3 months after that, in March of the following year, he returned at Fastlane, coming up through the ring as part of his feud with Randy Orton, and then he appeared as this burnt, charred up version of The Fiend until WrestleMania 37, where he miraculously and magically transformed into another version of The Fiend. But there you can see the sort of charred and burnt up version of The Fiend's head, that mask that was used there. Speaking of The Fiend, we then saw the previous iteration of Bray Wyatt. We saw the Fiend masks, the hurt and heal gloves. Also, he was actually at ringside. This version of Bray Wyatt was at ringside. And it must be said, there is certainly longevity. There is certainly weight still in, or equity, shall we say, in the Fiend character, because when the WWE Universe saw the Fiend at ringside, the crowd went crazy. Now, not as crazy when we see Bray Wyatt appear in just a second, but when they thought that was actually Bray Wyatt, the crowd went nuts. So I don't know if Bray Wyatt is going to go back to the Fiend character at all, but certainly the crowd loved it, and the crowd was happy to see the Fiend mask once again. We then transition onto the stage there at Extreme Rules, and you see this doorway and this sort of arch, and it was, again, very mysterious. It's kind of in keeping with Bray Wyatt's methodology from the past of you have to sort of enter the Bray Wyatt universe in the same way you had to enter the Firefly Fun House universe. Bray Wyatt, I guess, was off in another realm, and this was the door that was going to connect him to returning to WWE. Now, after seeing that door, we then pan to, this was really, really well done, and this whole return was just so well done. But we then pan to, indeed, the Firefly Fun House. We had seen the characters of the Firefly Fun House. We'd seen Huskus the Pig. We'd seen Ramblin' Rabbit. We'd seen Abby the Witch, etc. So we then pan to the Firefly Fun House, but the Firefly Fun House now isn't in the same state it was we last saw it. Of course, the last time we saw Bray Wyatt on WWE television was the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania when he was betrayed by Alexa Bliss. He was in there, he was happy, he was waving, he said it was going to be the start of a new chapter, a new journey. That new chapter and journey we never saw because he was subsequently released by WWE months later in July of that year. So this time in the Firefly Fun House, as you can see on the screen, it's abandoned. There's cobwebs over it. Now, the Firefly Fun House theme song was playing in the background, but it was kind of like it was fading, it was dying. It wasn't the same Firefly Fun House we were used to. The lights were off, it had been abandoned. You can see Mercy the Buzzard there in his box. Cobwebs have overcome all of them. Cobwebs have enveloped the entire Firefly Fun House again because it's been abandoned. Nobody has been in it in such a long time. It's been about, what? Longer than 18 months than the last time anyone had been inside the Firefly Fun House, I guess. So hence why it had become so overgrown and abandoned. You see the door that we have seen a lot when it comes to the teasers recently with the White Rabbit about abandon ye or who exit here, etc. So we'd seen that as well. Then we pan to the television that was in the Firefly Fun House. We have seen this in the past, an old-fashioned television, one of those big ones you would associate with sort of the 1970s, 1980s, big old-fashioned television. We saw the television in there, and the television was working, one of the only things that was working inside the Firefly Fun House. And it kind of got a bit Max Headroom-ish, if you remember that Max Headroom prank. I think that was from the 1980s. And in between all of the static, you can see a person in the mask. You can see a person in the mask, and essentially the person in the mask is repeating the phrase that the White Rabbit has been repeating the whole time in recent weeks. Who killed the world? Who killed the world? And I believe, going back and watching it a couple of times, he's saying you did and I did. He keeps saying you did, I did. Who killed the world? And you can see this mask there. Again, this is why it reminded me of that Max Headroom prank from the I believe it was the 1980s. You can go and watch it on YouTube. It's famous. It's about a time when someone actually hacked a television signal, and you had this person in a Max Headroom mask appear on television, and sort of it had a lot of static, and it was creepy, and the voice was distorted in the same way that this voice was distorted. This was the vibe I was getting. I was getting very Max Headroom, distorted kind of voice vibes. And the Max Headroom incident is very, very creepy, and that's certainly what we felt here. So you have this person in the mask, who we know now to be Bray Wyatt. Who killed the world? You did, I killed the world. We then go back to the arena there in the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, and the door gets kicked down. And almost angelic somewhat, somewhat heaven-like, the door gets kicked down, and we see this big bright light behind the door. And then we see the trademark lantern, yes. And the lantern can only mean one person, of course, that being Bray Wyatt. We still don't have a full reveal yet, but somebody emerges with a lantern. Now, it must be said, this is the same style of lantern that Bray Wyatt had when he had the first version of the Bray Wyatt character. The first version of the Bray Wyatt character carried a traditional lantern. Of course, when the Fiend would make his entrance, he would also carry a lantern, but his lantern was actually a lantern with the severed head of the old Bray Wyatt character. So this is kind of a move back to the older version of the Bray Wyatt character. We then see this person enter through the door into the Wells Fargo Center, greeting the WWE Universe. Again, still wearing that mask. It's very obvious who it is, it must be said, but he's wearing that new mask. He's holding the old Bray Wyatt lantern. He then stares out into the WWE Universe as they chanted, "Holy, you know what?" I mean, it must be said again, I can't overstate the reaction that this guy got. The Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia went insane. They went absolutely insane when the lights went out. They went insane when they were showing the characters in the crowd. They went insane when they saw the lantern. They went insane when they saw the person walk out. Like, every single time, the reaction got louder and louder and louder. It's one of the best returns I have seen in such a long period of time. Everything was so well done. This is where nobody can touch WWE, because the production levels are just so high. Nobody can shoot this like WWE can. Nobody in professional wrestling comes close to the production quality, and just, again, everything involved, all of the moving parts. It was so well done. It was absolutely tremendous. So then the mask gets revealed, and there you can see him right there. Bray Wyatt is indeed back in WWE. The crowd goes even more insane after he removes the mask. Interesting enough, again, we don't have too much information about what kind of character he's going to be doing, because there are elements of the older traditional Bray Wyatt character, not the Firefly Fun House gimmick, not the Fiend. We've got the old lantern. And again, he's not in really any particular ring gear or anything like that. So we don't really have an indication of what this new version of Wyatt is going to be. He then stared into the camera and said, "I'm here," before blowing out the lantern. Again, similar to how the old Bray Wyatt character had in the past. And we then again, interestingly, playing in the background, have the old Bray Wyatt noise. You know, the way they used to do it before, where when he was with the Wyatt family and when he wasn't with the Wyatt family, where when he would be hacking into the broadcast, or when Bray Wyatt would do a promo, he'd have that sort of weird noise and the weird scream. It had that before playing into this logo, which of course is the logo that we have seen on social media. This is the Wyatt 6 logo that he has put on social media, about a caterpillar into a cocoon, into coming out into a butterfly. So he could be indicating, of course, the circle behind it, implying that everything is going to become full circle. So you can read into that several different ways. You could read into it saying, well, it's coming full circle, so it implied that he's going back to his roots. He's going back to the traditional Bray Wyatt character, the older Bray Wyatt character. You could read into it as, well, it's a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, and a Wyatt version of a butterfly, so it's dark, it's gothic, but certainly it could be a case of the caterpillar. What is the traditional story of the caterpillar? Is that He goes into the cocoon and then it emerges as a butterfly. So it could be a situation whereby this Bray Wyatt has been the caterpillar. He's been in his cocoon for a period of time, and now he's going to emerge as something different, something new. We don't know what that's going to be. So there you go. I mean, some other details as well before we wrap things up. It was reported previously by Mike Johnson of PW Insider that White Rabbit masks were giving out to fans along with flyers and puzzles. People were dressed outside of the arena in White Rabbit costumes as well. Of course, this is the first time that Wyatt's actually been in front of a WWE crowd since WrestleMania 37. He was then released by WWE on July 31st of 2021. He has actually spoken on Twitter as well, because there was this fantastic video that's been going around in the hours since Bray Wyatt's return of a fan on social media shared a video of his daughter trying to contain her excitement while reacting to Wyatt's live return at Extreme Rules, saying, quote, "My daughter stayed up all night for Bray Wyatt and wasn't disappointed. Upon noticing the video, a humbled Wyatt explained why he returned to WWE. He said, quote, 'This is why. I missed you too, all of you.' Now, it's too early to speculate on Wyatt's returning character. There are lots of hints to Wyatt's legacy throughout this return, going all the way back to his early NXT WWE days, of course, heavily referencing the Firefly Fun House, referencing the Fiend. There is a belief that Bray Wyatt has returned as a babyface. We'll have to wait and see. We didn't get a lot of inclinations as part of that. It's going to be really interesting, as I mentioned, to see what version of Bray Wyatt has returned, what version of the character has returned. Is he going to be the Fiend again? Is he going to be something different? Is he going to be the old version of Bray Wyatt, the Eater of Worlds, etc., the charismatic cult-like leader? We don't know. Or is he going to be something different? I would lean into he's going to be something different. What that different is, I don't know. I still think he will be the Fiend at some points, because it's just too much. There's too much weight in that. There's too much equity still in that character. And I don't know if he's going to revisit the Firefly Fun House, because he's going to want to do something different, but also the Firefly Fun House makes WWE a lot of money. So there's lots of different ways to look at this, but overall, just simply unbelievable return. That's why people tuned into Extreme Rules last night, was to see Bray Wyatt's return. They were not disappointed. They were not let down. We spoke about how key it was that WWE and Triple H got this right after the weeks of teases, after everyone wanting it to be Wyatt. Sometimes you have to give the fans what they want. People could say, well, it wasn't a surprise because we knew it was going to be a Wyatt. It doesn't matter if it's not a surprise if it's good. If it's enjoyable, if it's well done, people don't care. And people will talk about this return for a long, long time, forever, because it was just that good. So there you go, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Bray Wyatt's WWE return in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.